probably have questions about the new powers to arrest and appropriate use of force training materials. My name is Kate Wallace. I'm the association manager for CALSAGA. Last week on January the 3rd, CALSAGA hosted a coffee chat where we featured BSIS Chief Len Jensen and Assistant Chief Sam Stadowski to provide you all of the information and ask your questions about this new training material. It was a lot of information. So even after that time, both CalSAGA's president, David Chandler, and myself were getting a lot of questions. So then he and I sat down on Friday, January the 5th, to just simplify the information. We presented it in a question and answer format with the questions that we were receiving from you. However, as things tend to do in California, the information has changed. As of today, Monday, January the 8th, the exam and the answer key for the new training materials will begin to be rolled out. When we recorded the video last week, that material was not available. So the advice that the association was providing was different than the advice that the association is providing today. But the video still has some really great content, some answers to your questions that you are still asking. So what you'll see is I have taken that original video, I have cut out all the references to the material, the exam and the answer key not yet being available. And I have kept the information that is still relevant, the answers that are still correct. As I mentioned, the exam and the answer key are starting to roll out as of Monday, January 8th. CalSAGA members can expect to receive that information in an email from the association. The BSIS has asked us for our assistance in getting that information out to our members, and we are happy to do that. So you will receive that shortly if you are a CalSAGA member. I don't know how the BSIS will roll out the exam and the answer key to the PPOs in California and the training facilities in California as a whole. But as always, CalSAGA will keep you updated on the information that affects you, that affects your business. And I will, at this point, turn it over to CalSAGA President David Chandler, who will answer your questions.
Hi, my name is David Chandler, and I'm the president of CalSAGA, and we want to make sure this is easy for you to understand because you're the one that's going to have to implement this, and you're the one that's going to be responsible for it. So let's dive into a few questions that came up that I feel are extremely important, and Kate's going to ask the questions, and I'm going to do my best to answer them.
Okay. All right, David, let's jump in. I understand that there are new training requirements, but can you break down for me what they are?
Yeah, so in July 1st of 2004, AB 2880, which is Assembly Bill AB 2880, came into effect, which allowed us to go from an 8-hour powers of arrest class to a 40-hour week, okay? So before a guard can get a license, before he can apply for a license, he had to apply for the power, or he had to take the test in the class for powers to arrest and weapons of mass destruction. With AB 229 that just passed and came into effect July 1st, 2023, the new rules are it's powers to arrest and appropriate use of force.
Okay. As far as the new manual, how do companies get that and what does it cost?
The new manual is free. It's the state of California's training. You just have to follow their guidelines. Kate will make available, I'm sure we've already done it, make available a link online to the training itself. You can always go on the Bureau's website and look under Apply Now, and then under Training Resources, and you'll find a copy of the Powers to Arrest and Appropriate Use of Force.
Okay. What about in person? Does this training have to be conducted in a classroom?
So yes and no. The law reads that one half of the class has to be done in a traditional classroom setting. Now,
Mm.
traditional classroom setting is an instructor present in the classroom. able to give direction, able to answer questions, and make sure the students are understanding the material. So
Okay.
4 hours of it, they imply that you could do some kind of a video or some other presentation that your company deems appropriate to get all the information out. The goal is that however you present this to your employees or your students, you are responsible to make sure that they get all of the content from the powers to arrest and appropriate use of force manual.
Okay. So what if you're training me on the material? You're in Southern California, I'm in Northern California, and we're on Zoom. Does that count as a live instructor?
No, the instructor has to be in the classroom.
So you mentioned that 50% of the training has to be in person with a live instructor in the classroom. Can can trainers choose which 50% is in person?
No, the state of California has designated what has to be in person and what has to be taught um,
Okay.
via other methods. Whether you do your own PowerPoint, whether you do a video, however you choose to run your business model, that's what's gonna take place. But in person, it has to be an instructor in the classroom, and I can't emphasize that enough. Has to be in the classroom. A live instructor has to be in the classroom.
Okay. All right. And during the coffee chat on January 3rd, Assistant Chief Sam Stadowski had mentioned that there is a section, the section of the code does say which parts have to be in person. It's on the Office of Administrative Law website. And I will make sure to link that in this video below.
Perfect, thank you.
I do also want to touch on the CalSAGA database. So a lot of people have been asking, will they be able to use the database to create certificates for the new powers to arrest and appropriate use of force training? And the answer is yes. If you're familiar with using the database, then you know that when you're creating a certificate, there is a drop down menu and you select from that drop down the name of the courses. If you're not familiar with the CalSAGA database, go to the CalSAGA website, just calsaga.org, go to the training tab, and then go down to instructions for the CalSAGA member portal and training database. They're pretty comprehensive, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our team, members at calsaga.org. Okay, so we talked about the training itself. We talked about um, how it affects new prospective guard card applicants. We talked about in person. What about existing officers who already have their guard card? Do companies need to give those officers the training as well?
So here's here's the caveat with that one. In a perfect world, uh, our CalSagas, in my opinion, is that we want to make sure, as a best business practice, that all of our employees are up to date with all the training that's available from the state to better help us deal with members of the public and using appropriate use of force. However, by the letter of the law, somebody that already currently has a guard card that has been through the powers of arrest program is not required to do this training. Okay, so let me say it again. If you have an existing guard card and you're working currently, you are not required to do this training. Only new applicants are required to do this training when the totality of the training is available, which is not available today and probably won't be for a few weeks, up to a month, I imagine.
Okay.
But as a best business practice, Kate, we want to say, and CalSaga's position is, please train your people, even if you can do this as the 8 hour of continual education every calendar year.
Okay, good. That was my question.
Mhm.
Officers have to do 8 hours of continuing education anyway this year. So what you're saying is if companies offer or they require their officers to go out and get this new powers to arrest, appropriate use of force training, that wouldn't be in addition to their continuing education. They can go ahead and count that as their eight
They-
hours of continuing education.
Absolutely, you can count that.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Who can teach this new material?
So, any private patrol operator, any training facility, whether it's Baton or Firearm, and any approved trainer. When I say approved trainer, I'm not talking about somebody that works for the company. Anybody that works for a licensed private patrol operator, PPO, can be designated as long as they are a licensee. They have to hold a license, whether it's a guard card, a QM license, so on and so forth. You have to have some license with the Bureau in order to teach the class. As long as the company and or the qualified manager agrees or allows you to teach the class, because you are responsible to make sure that the individuals get the entire training program.
Okay, so you're saying that can training facilities with baton and training facilities, firearm training facilities, both of them can teach this new material?
Absolutely. What we
Okay,
come into a problem with is like if you have a private patrol operator and you have a receptionist or you have somebody from HR doing these tests, if they don't hold a guard card, they cannot do this teaching.
okay, got it. So it has to be, if the PPO is offering the training to their employees, it has to be taught by someone with a license from the BSIS, so a qualified
Correct.
manager or a guard card licensee. Okay,
Correct.
got it. And then, um, what about the baton permits? I understand that there are changes rather to baton permits as well.
Yeah, so there are some changes to baton permits coming up that are existing changes, which means that the baton permit now will be a 2-year permit. You're going to have to take another class, an 8-hour class, and you'll have to do that every 2 years, just like a guard card, and renew it. The renewal application is not available yet online, but we do have a link, and Kate will make the link available to you on our website, but it is available that you can look up and see when your renewal will have to be taking place. If it's based on when you originally got your baton permit. So if it was an even year, you have to do it on an even year. If it's an odd year, you have to renew it on an odd year.
Okay.
And there's a link that the paper spells it out pretty clear.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to start, if I have a baton permit, I'm gonna have to start renewing it. So let's say I've got my guard card, I've got my firearms permit, I've got my baton permit. I got them all at different times, but this is a lot to keep up with. Can I renew all three at the same time moving forward?
Chances are no. The expiration dates are the expiration dates. A few years ago, the Bureau tried to lump all your licenses together at one time, but then it was shorting you out of uh, the time that you were supposed to get, and it was adding time, and it just became a nightmare. So the state stopped doing that. So
Okay,
whenever your renewal date is when your renewal date is. If you on the baton permit, if it comes up where it's an even year and you have your renewal for your guard card at the same time the same year, try to get it close to that. So at least it'll help you remember. But other than that, no, they're not going to try to
okay.
help you out.
So because of this, it is really important that all licensees keep their information up to date with the Bureau, is what you're saying. So they need to make sure that their address is always current. And can
Please.
they update that through Breeze?
You can update your address through Breeze. Remember, if you don't update your address, it's a crime not to update your address. You have to update it within 30 days of changing your address. And for nothing else, the Bureau has over the last few years started sending out renewals for firearms, which is really helping out. They do renewals for guard cards now, and ultimately you'll get a renewal for your baton permit too. So please make sure they have a current address on you, and you can do that through the Breeze program.
Okay. I have another question about the Bureau. So you said that baton permits are changing as of January 1st, 2024. So let's say a training facility purchased a bunch of baton permits in 2023. They can get a refund for those, right?
Absolutely not. No, the Bureau is not going to give you any money back. And they made it very clear when they stopped selling the permits in November. They told everybody, they made it announcements, they made it public announcements that if you have baton permits that are coming up due, or that you haven't issued yet, because the training facilities had to buy the permits. If you haven't issued them yet, then they're not going to give you a refund of money. Now, because the new program is not up yet, you could still issue the baton permit today if you have it.
Okay, so companies who training facilities who purchased Baton permits in 2023, even though the new law has gone into effect, they're because the material is not ready and the BSIS is not ready to start issuing, they can go ahead and utilize those now.
They utilize the old ones now, yeah.
Okay.
You can still use the old system.
Okay. What about firearms? Are there changes there too to that training?
There are some changes to firearms training, and there'll be changes to the firearms testing. So
Okay.
right now, the fundamental change in the firearms industry is the revolver course of fire and the semi-automatic course of fire. There's going to be two different ones now, one for revolvers, one for semi-automatics. So training facilities, please go over the new firearms material so you understand it clearly, and there'll be new tests coming out very soon. So until the new tests come out, you have to continue to use the old tests. So just remember, when you received the new testing materials, you also have to get the answer keys. So just because you have the test and you don't have the answer key, you still can't give that new material yet until you have it completely.
Okay. All right. And then to clarify, can training facilities use the CalSAGA database to create certificates for baton training and firearm training?
Absolutely. If you're not using our certificates, you're doing yourself an injustice. Our certificates are already there. They're very easy to use. They allow you to make sure that all the firearms ones and the baton permits say the word proficient, and you just have to put in a separate area for the calibers that they're proficient in and the types of batons that they're proficient in, whether it's straight stick, side handle, or collapsible, and then whatever caliber in your firearms. So our database at CalSAGA is really a great member value, and if you're not using it, please look at it because it'll save you a lot of time and trouble.
Okay. All right. And I do want to note one thing about using the CalSAGA database to create firearms certificates and baton certificates. So there is a very specific way to do it. If when you're creating your certificate for baton, it doesn't give you the check boxes to select the type of baton, and or when you're creating firearm certificates, you don't have the field that lists the caliber, then that means that you are not creating them the correct way and they will not be in compliance because they will not have the information that they need to have on there. So you can reference the instructions for the CalSAGA member portal and training database. Remember, go to calsaga.org, training, and then instructions. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to CalSAGA staff, members at calsaga.org. If you're looking in the database and you don't see the ability, and you're a training facility member and you don't see the ability to create those certificates, what that probably means is that you have not provided us with your training facility license. So we have to verify your license with the BSIS before we allow you to create certificates in the database. And so it probably means that we don't have that information from you. So reach out to us so we can get it clarified and we can assist you with streamlining your certificate creation processes. Okay,
Great.
so those were the questions and the answers to the questions we are receiving most frequently from our members. David, thank you so much for simplifying this process for us.
But we wanted to delve a little bit deeper and make sure that you really understood some of this material because I've been getting a lot of phone calls, and I know we've been getting a lot of phone calls at CalSAGA also trying to clear up the same message over and over again. So I hope this video helps you, and our goal is to make sure that you get the 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 best information in order to run your business and to run your company as you see fit. But we want to keep you up to date with what the new laws, rules, and regulations are, and we try very hard to do that.
Thank you for watching. I trust that this was helpful for you. Thank you again, David. Thank you to all of our members for your support. We exist as a member support organization, and we could not do what we do without your support. So thank you. And if you have other questions, please visit calsaga.org, email members@calsaga.org.